who's going to show us some very special dessert today. So let's go and ask Brendon, what are we going to do today?
Today I'm going to prepare a banana pancakes with a caramelized banana, butterscotch sauce and a little sugar cup just to sit on the top as a garnish.
Okay, then let's go through the ingredients, Brendon.
Some bananas, self-raising flour, some milk, just some thickening cream, bicarb soda, vanilla essence, an egg, some butter, some caster sugar and some brown sugar.
Alright Brendon, just what are you going to do next?
Okay, first off we have to start making with the pancake batter. First we add our 180 grams of self-raising flour, just into the... we have 80 grams of caster sugar and just 1/4 teaspoon of bicarb soda. And we want to mix these first, mix all the dry ingredients before we start adding all the wetter ingredients. We have 185 mils of milk. We have 1 egg. And just a tablespoon or teaspoon of vanilla essence. And we just whisk that up till it becomes smooth batter. Next up, we've got to add the banana to the batter. Get just a sheet of baking paper. We get just a drum sieve or any sieve that you'll find easiest. I find it easiest just to mash the banana a bit in your hands.
So the softer the banana is better for you.
Yeah, the easier it goes through, the softer it is. It's always better to use a ripe banana, so if it's got more flavour in it, it's easier to pass through. And then just get a scraper and you're just pushing it through as hard as you can. Once it's all pushed through, just scrape it from the bottom. You could mash the banana and just put it straight in, but it will be very lumpy and you'll see just a lot of the black spots from the banana. Once you've added the banana, it's just a matter of whisking it up and just making it smooth and incorporating it into the batter.
Brendon, your batter is now ready, so what's the next step?
Okay, our next step now is to make the butterscotch sauce. It's a very easy sauce to make. 160 mils of just thickening cream.
Thick cream?
Yep. Just 50 grams of just normal unsalted butter. 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence. And 200 grams of brown sugar. You want to just whisk that a bit to incorporate it. Don't have to do too much for this. And then you just put it straight onto the heat. What you want to do is you want to bring it to the boil and then reduce it down just to a simmer and just let it simmer for 5 to 10 minutes until it thickens a little bit. You notice the bubbles start appearing around the rim of the pot. Basically it just means it's starting to get hot and the sugar's caramelizing a bit. You want to try to keep it on the bottom of the pan rather than splashing, otherwise the sugar's just going to burn around the edges. So once our butterscotch sauce is ready, you can just move that to the side. Next up we've got to make the sugar garnish. Basically all you're doing is making a caramel. So in this instance you want to use more sugar than water, otherwise it'll just, you won't be able to move it or be pliable when you make the garnish. So you want to start just by adding your 80 mils of water till it's about 200 grams of sugar. And you just want to incorporate it a little bit, but you don't want to stir too much, otherwise the caramel can reach the sides and it will just get stuck and burn. It's always a good idea if you have just some water close by and just a brush, pastry brush. That way you can brush down the sides and if any sugar catches, and it just helps prevent burning around the sides. It should maybe take 5 to 10 minutes. You just got to watch it carefully, never walk away from it for too long, otherwise it can burn very quick and there's a very fine line between a good caramel and a burnt caramel. Next step, once our sugar's on the go, is we've got to start on the caramelized banana. Just put your bananas in just down. I've cut these in half and then lengthways, just so I think it looks nice when it's on the plate. Just get about 20 grams of butter, just anywhere, just randomly around, it's going to melt anyway. And then you want about 30 to 40 grams of brown sugar. You don't want it too sweet because there's already a lot of sugar in the batter and also in the butterscotch sauce. Just turn that down. If you have to and you're finding it's too thick, you can always just add a little bit more butter. Once all the sugar and the butter's melted, just turn it down. Give it one flip. And then just put it aside and that'll keep cooking and it'll be done. And now we just go over to the sugar. You notice there's a bit of browning around the outside. I mean, it's becoming a caramel. You got to be careful, you just got to make sure you keep brushing the edges, otherwise it can burn very quickly. We've taken it off the heat. It's important to take it off before it's completely cooked, otherwise it will continue to cook and burn. Also, you need to let it cool down just a little bit, not too much, just so it's pliable. That way when you're moving around, it becomes like thread, but it's actually dripping. It doesn't become kind of stuck. It just allows you to manipulate the sugar a bit easier. Now that it's cooled down a little bit, we should be able to work with it. So what we're using is we're just going to use just a normal kitchen ladle. Depending on how big you want the sugar cup, just obviously depends on how big the ladle is. It's important you got to spray really good just around there so it doesn't stick and ruin it. Also, I like to keep just some baking paper underneath so you avoid getting on the bench or your work area, otherwise you've got to scrape and it's very difficult to clean. So now that the sugar, it's at a stage where you can manipulate it a little bit more. Just want to get a little bit on the edge of the spoon and you want to just run back and forth till you cover the bottom of the ladle. And it's important that you get all around the ladle, that way there's no just gaps or anything in the cup. If you notice that the caramel does start becoming too hard or too hard to work with, just put it back onto the heat to heat it up a little bit and just make it more pliable.
So the texture of the caramel is the most important part.
Yes, well, that's what makes you basically able to manipulate it. If it becomes too hard, then it's not going to come off the spoon. If it's too soft, it's not going to create the threads that you want. You just want to trim off just the edges. Now that it's become a lot crunchier, it should just snap off. Very easy. Okay, now once it's completely covered, it's cooled down a bit so you can feel it'll start sliding off a bit. And basically you just want to take it out as cleanly as you can. And then you've got a little dome just to sit on top of the pancakes. It creates a bit of texture to the dish also. It's very crunchy. You've got to also be very careful, it's very fragile. It can snap very easy and you don't want to have to redo this thing 100 times. Alright, and you just put that to the side. Okay, next step is to make the pancake. Basically you want to get just a flat crepe frying pan. And we're going to use just some butter as opposed to oil. I think butter gives it a bit more flavour and just a bit of a different, like a nuttier brown colour on it. Okay, so the trick is you want it on a medium heat. Too hot, you're just going to burn it, and too cold, you're just going to fall apart when you try to flip it. I'm using butter today as opposed to oil. I think it gives it just a bit of a nuttier brown colour and also just a bit of richness on the flavour. It's always good to have just a paper towel or just a cloth next to you. That way, once you've done one pancake, you can just wipe the butter out. Otherwise, it will get just residual butter and it will just keep burning every time you do a new pancake. Just want just a little knob of butter, not too much. Just enough that you can coat the area that you're working with. Just want to swirl it around so you can cover the pan. Depending on the size of your pancakes, obviously it depends on how much you put. Just be wary that it does spread, so if you put too much, it'll just become too big. A good way to check that it's ready to flip is you notice that some air bubbles start forming on the surface. There's a tricky part of actually flipping it. It's just a matter of you don't want to do it too soon, otherwise it will just go everywhere and the bladder will spill over. You don't want it to too late, otherwise it will just burn on you. So let's turn the heat down a little bit. You'll notice the sides can start coming off. Once you can get under it cleanly when all the bubbles are, it's just a matter of flipping it. And you've got good colour in the pancake. Okay, you got your banana pancakes, your sugar garnish, your caramelized bananas, your butterscotch sauce, and then just a little bit of icing sugar on the end just to make it look a bit better. You want to start with your pancakes. I always like to use the one that looks the best, put that on top, because that's the one the customer will see. So you just stack them up in a neat little pile. Next, you get your caramelized bananas. I just want to place them, give the plate a little bit of height. Always tends to look better with a bit of height. Next, you want to drizzle a little bit of butterscotch sauce just over the top. Also a little bit on the plate just makes it look a bit nicer. And then just the sugar garnish just right on top. And just a little bit of icing sugar at the end. There you got your banana pancakes with caramelized banana, butterscotch sauce, and just a simple sugar garnish on top.
Very good, Brendon, and I can't wait to eat. I'm sure that it's going to be very, very tasty.
I hope so.
And yeah, this is Brendon from Margot Restaurant at Crown, and who's studying at this culinarium where it's the second year apprentices. So that's all for the day, and we'll see you again with a new recipe next week. Bye for now.